If you haven't watched the intro to the series, please pause the video and do so now before continuing. Throughout Deuteronomy, one may be surprised to find the high regard that is given to outsiders. This is in contrast to Islamic law. I'd like to quickly cite some relevant texts, first from Islamic sources. Surah 98, indeed they who disbelieved among the people of the Scripture and the polytheists will be in the fire of hell, abiding eternally therein. Those are the worst of creatures. And again, the worst of living creatures in Surah 8. This derogatory view of non-Muslims is in contrast to Muslims who are the best of peoples in Surah 3. Of course, we must ask how this is to be understood. This is easily done by looking at how beliefs toward outsiders were put into practice. In doing this, we find that goodwill is largely limited to those within the Muslim community. Muhammad said, "The rights of a Muslim on the Muslims are 5," and then he goes on to list them. So notice the rights of a Muslim on the Muslims. Or again, Muhammad required his followers to pledge to be sincere and true to every Muslim. The Prophet said in Bukhari 64:84 that a Muslim is one who avoids harming Muslims. Insulting a Muslim is an evil action, and fighting against him is disbelief. Muhammad commanded his followers not to eat from the same utensils as Jews and Christians in Sahih Muslim 49:83. He also commanded them not to initiate greetings with Jews and Christians in Sahih Muslim 56:52. And later, if you meet one of them on the street, drive them to the nearest part of it. To be fair, Muhammad did extend charity to non-Muslims, but it was often in the form of a bribe to accept Islam. I give to Quraysh people in order to let them adhere to Islam. Judgments are partial under Islamic law, depending on whether or not a Muslim is involved. For example, the indemnity for the death or injury of a woman is 1/2 the indemnity paid for a man. The indemnity paid for a Jew or Christian is 1/3 of the indemnity paid for a Muslim. Note that if you've watched my series on women in Islam, the woman's indemnity being 1/2 of the man's will not come as any surprise whatsoever. So these are just a few of many examples that I could give. In contrast, what does Deuteronomy say about this topic? Hear out your fellow men and decide justly between any man and a fellow Israelite or a stranger. You shall not be partial in judgment. Or again in Deuteronomy 5, "But the 7th day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work," and this includes the sojourner or the foreigner. God executes justice for the fatherless and the widow and loves the sojourner. Therefore, you do the same. Again in Deuteronomy 14, in the Levite, this is speaking of food for the needy. Among those were the Levites, who relied on Israel for their sustenance. It says, "Because the Levite has no portion or inheritance with you, and the sojourner, and the fatherless." And again, speaking of the Jewish feast, particularly the Feast of Weeks, Deuteronomy 16 says, "And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God," and this includes, again, the sojourner, the foreigner. Deuteronomy 16:14, a couple verses later, "You shall rejoice in the feast," and this is the Feast of Booths. And this includes, again, the sojourner. Deuteronomy 23:7 requires the Israelites not to abhor an Egyptian because they were sojourners in Egypt. Or Deuteronomy 24:17, "You shall not pervert the justice due to the sojourner or to the fatherless." Deuteronomy 24:21 commands harvesters to leave leftovers for needy, including the foreigners. "And you shall rejoice in all the good that the Lord your God has given to you and to your house, you and the Levite and the sojourner who is among you." Deuteronomy 26:11. Now, foreigners were nothing new to the Israelites. Exodus 12:38 records a mixed multitude of people who left with the Israelites during the Exodus. This kindness extended to others is not coercive, as it was with Muhammad, who bribed people to accept Islam. The logic is very simple. God shows no favor, takes no bribe, but upholds the cause of the fatherless and the widow, and befriends the stranger. The verses continue to state effectively, "Therefore you do the same." Additionally, I can't help but wonder why Jesus' teachings as a Muslim prophet, according to the Islamic worldview, were so different from Muhammad's. "But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, Pray for those who abuse you. To one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you, and from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them. The contrasts with these verses in Islamic law are numerous. I'll simply name one. Jesus says, again, bless those who curse you. Now, in Muhammad's day, there were Jews who would greet Muhammad with the form of the traditional Arabic greeting, Assalamu alaikum, and this form would be translated into something like, curse be upon you, and it's very similar to the traditional Arabic greeting, but the meaning is significantly different. When these Jews would curse Muhammad, Muhammad would curse them back. So Muhammad's method is curse those who curse you, and Jesus, again, bless those who curse you. Nothing from Allah in the Quran nor Muhammad in the Hadith on this topic comes anywhere close to the superior ethics prescribed by Jesus in the Gospels or the Deuteronomic law.